Hey, everybody. Welcome into the back room. I'm Andy Ostroy. We have Joe Walsh back with us today. We will chat with Joe in just a little while. But first, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you listening. And we'd love to hear your comments. So email us at backroomandy@gmail.com and or post on our social media. And we'll read some feedback next time. And if you like the podcast, please rate and review and follow or subscribe. And you'll be notified every time we post a new episode. So here we are. January 2nd. Jan, Maddie, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You guys got any interesting New Year's resolutions?
None that I care to share.
Ooh, Mr. Secret, Mr. Shadow Docket.
I don't have any.
And you?
I don't do New Year's resolutions, but if I had to, I'd say it's the same thing I say all the time. All I want to do is wake up the next day.
Reasonable.
That's my but I will say that this year I have a New Year's revolution.
Okay.
Is that a wish?
Yeah, I want to see the midterms be very good for Democrats. So I want to see a revolution this year. So
Okay. I don't think anyone here can disagree.
Yeah.
no. So speaking of revolutions, let's start with what I consider to be the big news of the week, and that is the inauguration in New York City of Zoran Mamdani as mayor. Because it is really significant to acknowledge the historical aspect of this. You've got a 33-year-old Muslim immigrant. This Democrat socialist thing is going to be a hard slog for him in this town. That matters to me less. And we've had, David Dinkins was a Democrat socialist. So it's not as historic as people would like it to be, especially from a negative standpoint. But I think it is really important that in a year that we just had Donald Trump try to just systematically destroy every democratic institution, norm, boundary, trampling on the rule of law, the corruption. At the same time, here we have this incredible moment of progress. It speaks to who we are as Americans, ultimately. That, yeah, there's some bad in this world, but there's also a lot of good.
And the most exciting thing about this win is how it energized young people. And it was very hopeful. And the underdog came back. And people felt that their effort in getting other people to vote and the excitement, it means everything. And I feel like that's what we're going into 2026 with. Your vote means everything.
The danger is that if he doesn't deliver, the young people who are like, yeah, I'm excited, I'm engaged, my vote counts, they're just going to be like, see, when a guy we believe in doesn't deliver, we don't have a shot. So that's the only risk, that he has to deliver in the ways the young people who voted for him, who were energized, who came out for him, in the way they need him and want him to deliver.
Yeah, I also liked that in an era where we're seeing a rise in anti-Semitism and was accused of being anti-Semitic, that he was actually sworn in by the most popular Jew in this country, Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, look, I've not made my opinions secret on Mamdani. I have a lot of issues with him in terms of policy, politically. I have a lot of issues with him relating to Israel and some of the comments he's made. And, one of the things he did on his first day in office was to erase all of Eric Adams' executive orders that took place as of the day he was indicted. And so rolling up into all of those things were things that are and have been of major concern to the Jewish community in New York City, which is the ban against taking part in any boycotts against Israel, Israeli products, Israeli companies, at temples after acts of violence that took place in the city. Eric Adams implemented new policies towards protecting synagogues. Another thing was how it regards the word anti-Semitism and how it's used from a political policy standpoint. These all went away. So on the first day of office, he's already causing an uproar with Jews in New York. So it remains to be seen what he's going to do for the constituencies that voted for him. I mentioned the young people before. He made a lot of promises that really turned on young people. Good promises. I'm for it. I'm for free buses. I'm for affordable housing. I'm for free childcare. I'm for all of that. Okay. But he also made some assurances to the Jewish community that he has to live up to as well.
I think as long as he continues to communicate as well as he has been, I mean, anyone who listens to this podcast knows that I have some apprehensions, but I do wish for him to represent everybody, people who haven't been seen in a really long time. And it's not just young people, and it's not just wealthy and poor. There's like this whole other in between, and you know, Jews also fall into that category. But just in general, if he can continue to communicate why he's doing what he's doing, what his hope is, how he's made a compromise to be able to accomplish part of that, I think he's going to have the support that he has so far come into office with.
He's got a big mountain to climb. I like him as a person. I think he's got the kind of personality and character and gravitas that is needed in the mayor of New York City. So I think he starts off having the right stuff, which of course is why he got elected out of relative obscurity. But he's got to deliver. You can't win on personality alone. You can't succeed on personality alone.
He will accomplish some of his goals, and he won't accomplish all of them because no one ever does. But I think whether it's free buses, maybe they won't all be free, but maybe he'll get a big portion of them free in areas where people are struggling the most. I mean, the last mayor who made a piece of public transportation free was Mayor Giuliani when he made the Staten Island Ferry free. So it certainly isn't a socialist thing to make transportation free. And I think that, you know, he started out yesterday doing all the right things in terms of rent regulations and strengthening tenants' rights as much as he can with executive orders. So he's on the right path, and whether he has some mistakes, that's inevitable. That's just going to happen to anybody.
All right, let's get to our winners and losers.
My winner, the Consumer Bureau, which acts as a guardrail for the safety of the financial system. It cannot be defunded by the Trump administration. My loser, 22 million Americans brace for significantly higher premiums as the ACA subsidies lapsed yesterday.
My winner is Mayor Mamdani. Just as LaGuardia's path to City Hall represented a rebuke of Tammany Hall, Mamdani was elected to wrest control of the city from powerful elites and return it to the people. My loser is the entire year of 2025, which started out badly and didn't end any better.
My winner is America, because a young 33-year-old Muslim immigrant becoming mayor of the greatest city in the world proves that even in the age of Donald Trump's most racist, tyrannical reign of terror, good still wins in the battle versus evil. My loser, Donald Trump, who was handed yet another major court defeat, but claimed it was a victory. I guess it's not easy being a pathetic, pathological liar with crippling insecurities. All right, let's get to our predictions. Our predictions for 2026. But first, we got to check out, how did we do this past year?
2025 will be a year filled with painful campaign promises coming to fruition. Donald Trump will get his cabinet nominations through by a large majority. Deregulation at the FDA and EPA will lead to increased illness and deaths due to chemical contamination in food and potable water. The Constitution will be amended to the glee of the originalist Supreme Court regarding the 14th Amendment and citizenship.
Lara Trump will be the next senator from Florida. U.S. student protesters are going to be charged federally for exercising their First Amendment rights. HHS is going to cut hundreds of millions of dollars in important grants to research universities and instead give that taxpayer money to evangelical scam studies. Israeli settlers will move into Gaza and Syrian Golan Heights with the full support of the Trump administration. And I'm hoping on this one that Europe will unite to help Ukraine after Trump cuts off U.S. aid.
All right. I am going to predict that the Trump-Musk bromance will be over by June. Boom! I am going to say that Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, and RFK Jr., and Kash Patel will not be confirmed. There will be no mass deportation. It is going to be limited to deportations of criminals, which have been going on with every administration. The New York Knicks will win the NBA championship. And with the addition of Juan Soto, the New York Mets will win the World Series. All right. I was right on the Doge thing.
Totally.
Almost down to the fucking day. That was so easy to see. I was right on mass deportations, but not limited to the criminals. Maddie, I think you did a little worse than Jen. Jen?
Yes?
You hit one or two, I think. You came close, but, the prediction business is hard. So let's make our predictions for this year.
Lauren Boebert will resign from the House of Representatives. Barry Weiss will not last at CBS News. Mike Johnson will face a revolt and lose speakership within 4 months. Kash Patel will not be in the FBI in June. J.D. Vance will separate from Usha. The TikTok deal will start to fall apart. In a 5-4 split, SCOTUS will maintain birthright citizenship. Equities will drop 20%, and we will be in a bear market by the year end. Sam Altman and David Sachs will convince Trump to bail out AI with hundreds of billions of dollars. And on or about November 3rd, 2026, the Justice Department will notify at least 3 purple states with Republican attorneys generals that the vote counts can't be trusted, and the FBI will be dispatched to secure the voting machines.
Holy shit.
There's the Chicken Little I love.
What do you want me to say? You want good predictions?
Chicken Little and Debbie Downer had a baby. It's Maddie.
They're really interesting,
They're not telling
though.
me they're all wrong.
No, they're not all wrong.
You know what we should do?
What?
We should have laid a track underneath Maddie, the REM song. It's the end of the world as we know it.
Okay, so I'm swinging the other way. So 2026 is full of optimism. Inflation and rising healthcare costs will usher in a blue wave, tipping the House back to a Democrat majority. The Senate will pick up seats and have an even Republican-Democrat split. Jerome Powell will not be fired before his term is up, and then will be replaced in June, leading to significantly reduced interest rates. Mamdani will work with centrist Democrats and successfully focus on housing initiatives. New Yorkers will feel safer under his administration. If one of the Supreme Court's justices step down or dies, Trump will nominate Aileen Cannon. And most importantly, as a way to counteract this Mets thing, the Yankees will make it to the 2026 World Series. Booyah.
My predictions. Mamdani will have a great first year. Kash Patel and Kristi Noem will be gone by March 1. RFK Jr. and Pam Bondi will be gone by June 1. Democrats will pick up at least 40 House seats in the midterms. Democrats will also retake the Senate, shocking everyone with flips in Texas, North Carolina, Maine, and Ohio. There will be a devastating Epstein bombshell for Donald Trump. And my most significant prediction, Trump is not in good health. From a health perspective, I don't think he's going to make it through the end of the year.
That's a big one.
And that is a big one. That is a big one. He's not a healthy man, and he's going to be 80 years old. And it's a concern. I don't think they're being truthful with his conditions. I don't think what he has is benign. I don't think he shakes hands too much, and that's why his hands are spotty. I think he's raising a lot of eyebrows right now, especially this week with his explanations of his examinations.
It's the aspirin, Andy. Aspirin.
Yeah, he's taking triple the amount that doctors... He's not even taking what his own doctor recommends. Why is he taking...
But he said
350 milligrams of aspirin.
He said that it was because he wanted very good thin blood.
Look, I go to the gym every day. Who doesn't want thin blood, right?
Very good thin blood, not just thin blood.
Jen, if you know anything about blood, there's all kinds of thin blood. There's attractive thin blood. There's stylish thin blood. There's very good thin blood. Yeah, that whole thing. And then he looks at the report and he goes, does that make any sense? Wait a second. You're asking me if it makes any sense? We don't know. You should know. You went to the fucking doctor. You got the
Now he
exam.
knows.
No,
Now he knows
and
he-
by the way, no, it doesn't make sense.
Now he knows he had a CT, not an MRI. It's like one or the other.
Yeah, it's just letters, Maddie. Who cares what they are? But the thin blood thing is insane. It's insane. They don't even want me to take the, and then he's supposed to take these wear these like special socks for his
That's compression socks, probably.
compression socks.
I swear to God, this is
And he
his
doesn't do
impression.
it. They're
This is-
uncomfortable, so he's not doing it. So, like the stuff he is telling us and being truthful about in terms of what his doctors recommended, he's not following doctor's orders. So that's a problem right there.
For whom?
He's
For whom is that a problem?
He's self-diagnosing. Like, I think what I got, I need triple the amount of aspirin. And then there's the lies about the handshaking and the swollen cankles. It's all benign. It's all this. The man is a pathological liar, right? We know he's lying when his lips move. So should anyone believe benign? Should anyone believe handshaking? The fact that they say that means maybe they told this guy he's got 8 months to live, because that's what he does. He lies. So I don't trust anything he's saying. I don't trust anything they're saying. He doesn't look healthy. Lately, he doesn't sound healthy. Lately, he actually sounds like Joe Biden. His voice is weak. It's breathy. It's like hoarse. It's he's just not looking or sounding good.
I thought that interview read like a deranged episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
No, it could be like, because I like thin blood.
Exactly what I was.
Cue Curb music right at that moment. So anyway, that's, whether or not we are right or wrong about any of our predictions, it is going to be one crazy fucking year.
That is true.
Wait, but it's going to be
But-
better than 2025.
Yes.
Well, looking back, the first half of 2025 was way worse than the second half of 2025. We're sitting here January 2nd looking at Donald Trump, who is a wounded animal. He's just lost in so many court cases. He's lost in the court of public opinion. His approval is in the toilet. He's a disaster on immigration, on the economy, on inflation, all his signature issues. He's lost the independent voters. He's lost the young men. He's lost the Hispanics. MAGA is split. MAGA is split. So he's got problems. Sitting here a year ago on January 2nd, it's like our hands in our heads going, oh my God, democracy is over. It's dying. We are so screwed. Not the case today. It's different. There's an assault on democracy. He's attacked and destroying so many institutions, so many norms and boundaries. He's attacked the rule of law. He's doing all kinds of bad things. Still not as bad as we thought it was in the first half of the year. So I think 26 could be a crazy year, but it could be a really interesting, good kind of crazy year. That's my macro prediction.
Awesome. I agree.
I'm certainly hoping it's going to be better than 2025. I mean, who could you lose more MAGA than Marjorie Taylor Greene?
And Lauren Boebert. He's pissed off a lot of people. And a lot of them are resigning.
And Elise Stefanik.
Yes, another one. And you're going to see more and more, especially as we get closer to the midterms. And you're going to see more and more Republicans in Congress growing a pair of balls as we pass the filing deadlines for running in the primaries. Because when they start to realize, oh, I don't have a challenger now, Trump's not primarying me, I could speak my mind against this fucking lame duck. So it's going to be really interesting this year, maybe even for that alone, because finally we may see them grow some balls. All right, speaking of growing some balls, that's a great segue into the weekly rant. So Joe Rogan, he's become the most influential voice in the right-wing media ecosystem. He's got the #1 ranked podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, which has 15 million followers. And he's amassed an additional 55 million followers across his YouTube, Twitter, X, and Instagram platforms. So when he says something, a fuck ton of people listen to him. And nowhere was that more consequential than last year when Rogan, the king of the manosphere, endorsed Donald Trump for president and helped send the convicted felon back into the Oval Office. And how did he do that? In large part by delivering the brotastic young male bromosexual vote. But there is no joy in Mudville right now. In the last few months, we've seen Rogan bewildered, frustrated, and very critical of Trump's statements and policies involving immigration and deportation, ICE raids, threats of war with Venezuela, idiotic White House plaques, his unconscionable comments about Rob Reiner, and his handling of the Epstein files. But, there's a big but. What we really need to hear from Joe Rogan is, I regret my endorsement, my support, and my vote for Donald Trump. Because I am really sick and tired of hearing Trump supporters say something like, yeah, I wish he wouldn't say or do some dumb offensive things, but overall, I like his policies, so I still support him. And so from Rogan, with his ability to significantly move the political needle, I want to hear, I fucked up. I picked the wrong candidate, and here's why. I want to see from Rogan the same courage, integrity, and patriotism we've seen from the likes of Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, and the many others who have sacrificed everything, even putting their lives in danger, to fight Trump's tyranny. I want to hear real contrition from Joe Rogan. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I helped this maniac get elected. I want him to say, I'm not just criticizing. I have major buyer's remorse and should have voted for Kamala Harris. Dick Cheney voted for Kamala Harris, for fuck's sake. And while Rogan didn't, there's nothing stopping him, except maybe that courage and integrity thing, from saying today that he wishes he had. Because our nation, our democracy, our boundaries, norms, and institutions continue to be under massive attack by Donald Trump. And so now is not the time for passive critiques. All right, let's get to Joe Walsh. He is a former Republican congressman from Illinois, elected to Congress in the Tea Party wave of 2010. Following his service in Congress, Joe became one of the most popular conservative talk radio hosts in the country, syndicated in major markets throughout the U.S. In August of 2019, Joe became a candidate for President of the United States, waging a Republican primary challenge against Donald Trump. Joe is the author of Fuck Silence, calling Trump out for the cultish, moronic, authoritarian con man he is. Joe is currently the director of The Social Contract and the host of a podcast called The Social Contract with Joe Walsh. He can be seen regularly on CNN, MSNBC, and News Nation, and he's here today for a look back with me on the top 15 horrible things Donald Trump said and did in 2025. Joe, welcome back into the back room.
Andy, I miss you. You're my brother. It's always good to be with you. I mean that.
Seriously, me too. So we're gonna do something a little different here in the back room today. We're gonna. I figured you are the man to sit with me and go through the top. It actually started on my end. It started as the top 10 horrible things Donald Trump said and did in 2025, and I started writing some shit down, and I was like, I got to go to 15. I literally I can go to 100, but if I could conceivably narrow it to 15. So that's what I did, and I don't know how many you got.
I did 10, but I can easily add more. You're right, but I'm going to disagree with your premise. I always love to be with you, but I'm probably a shitty guest to have do this with you because, Andy, I was thinking about this last week. I have a fatal flaw. Like a lot of the people you and I know and deal with on social media can laugh at Trump and, oh, what a fucking idiotic, stupid thing he said. And I can't even laugh at Trump. I get so angry. So I may not be, you needed somebody with a better sense of humor to do what you and I are going to do.
Oh, don't get me wrong. The intention is not comedic.
I know.
It is to point out exactly the point you're making, which is, can you fucking believe who we have sitting in the Oval Office? Here are some of the things he's done that are just unconscionable. And hopefully there's some people out there listening who are like, maybe on the fence about this guy, I mean, there's sort of an inflection point we have happening right now. I think on some small level, maybe it's going to turn into something much bigger. But there is a chasm in MAGA. He's lost the independents. He's lost his young male vote. He's lost the Hispanics. Something's kind of happening, and that's demonstrated by the approval ratings that we see, and the fact that he's underwater on his signature issues of immigration, crime, the economy, inflation. So that's the intent. I'm not tapping you for your comedic skills, which of course
Thank
you
God.
have. You have many.
Because you're right, Andy. This has been a nightmare of a year for this country.
Yes.
And some really smart and clever people can go after Trump, but do it with a twinkle in their eye. I just find nothing funny about it.
No, there's nothing funny about it. But again, the point is his flood the zone strategy is so exhaustive that if Obama or Biden or George Bush or any of these presidents had done one of these things, they'd be gone, right? So I think it is an important exercise to remind people at year end, at the start of 26, look at what he has said and done. This is not normal. It's not only not normal, it's dangerous.
Yeah, and Andy, you nailed it, because of the few people in Trump world who still quietly talk to me, they've acknowledged, you mentioned the flood the zone strategy. That's always been his strategy.
Yep.
And it served him well to a degree in certain areas, but you're right, then it becomes exhausting and people are just sick of it. And
you forget the things, I mean, I tried to go back. I started out, my list was just from the last 30 days. I was like, dude, he served a whole year. Okay. There's some bad shit that you got to go a little deeper. And so I balanced it out, because you literally, if I asked, I mean, if you might know more than others, obviously, but let's say you're an average Joe on the street and I said, tell me something horrible Trump did a week ago, 2 weeks ago. You'd be like, because you're too busy dealing with the horrible shit that he said yesterday,
You're right, Andy, because think about it. It's been a year. And every day, as I say and you say, he does 100 lawless, ignorant, cruel, ugly, dishonest things every day for a year.
Yeah.
So fire away, man.
Yeah. All right. So mine are in no special order. My first is troops on U.S. city streets. Mm-hmm. This is not something we've ever seen before, certainly to the degree and the intent of Trump.
Spot on, brother. That made my top 10. And in my top 10, I tried to think about, because there's so much bad, I tried to focus on the most dangerous. And he's the very thing our founders feared. So what is he doing to demonstrate that? And you're right, Andy, that's somewhere near the top of the list. Putting the military on our streets, make no mistake, to go after American citizens. And make no mistake, it's part of his plan to try to fuck with the midterms.
Yeah. Another one that's right up there is the insane Doge chaos that began last February, and the drastic cuts that he made, the cuts to USAID, just what he did to the country, the economy, to the spirit of this nation by putting a maniac like Elon Musk in charge of a new institution called Doge, which ended up doing nothing except turn this country upside down for a few months. So that's right up there on my list.
You're right, Andy. That's like its own item. Just say Elon Musk. Who would put him in charge of anything? But then that led to, I think, another big one in my top 10 that we just don't talk enough about. Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and I'd throw Marco Rubio into this mix, right now are responsible for the deaths of about 1 million people around the world. They dismantled USAID. 4, 5, 6, 700,000 children have gone hungry and died because of what Musk, Trump, and Rubio did. They did not have the authority to dismantle USAID, but they did it. And people around the world are dying because of it. Dying.
Yeah. And here's where I thought you were going to go also, because not only is all of that extremely important and something we can't forget, but connected to the Doge thing, chaos-wise, was his tariff policy, which around the same time, February, March, April, May, June, turned this country's economy upside down, almost crashed the bond market. I mean, we were in dire economic straits for nothing.
Andy, think about it. I mean, you and I despise Trump. If he had gotten elected and not done anything with tariffs, the economy would be in much better shape right now. He'd be doing better politically. This was like an utterly unforced error. Forget about how he did it, right? It's all mad and it's up and down and tariffs today, not tomorrow. But he's an idiot. He's an economic idiot. He single-handedly fucked up the economy. If he hadn't done that, in a weird way, he'd be sitting in pretty good shape politically. Yeah.
Well, not to get into a whole psychological conversation, but I think my people know my feelings about how I've armchair diagnosed Trump as a sociopath. He doesn't want to be president. He doesn't want to do that Bill Clinton thing, sitting in the Oval with his aides till 2:00 in the morning, talking about wonkish policy shit. He's not interested in that. What turns him on is being the boss, the big guy. I sign executive orders. I make the world leaders come to me and get on their knees and beg for lower tariff. Like, all the tariff thing just fed his pathological need for attention and adulation and credit. And it is so sick and perverted that, when you start to think about it in those terms, you're like, it's like the kids say, ick. It's just like...
It's ick. And it's weird. Again, Trump has no core, no philosophy. You're right.
No.
All he cares about is Trump. But in a weird way, Andy, like, he's been talking about tariffs for like 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
It's just... So he was handed the strongest post-COVID economy in the world.
Yep.
He's fucked it up single-handedly, and that's really decimated him politically.
Yeah. Another thing on my list, the East Wing demolition. What that man is doing to the White House, I should say man baby, it's unconscionable. From the tacky Home Depot sprayed gold shit all over the White House, to the paving over of the Jackie Kennedy Garden, to knocking down this major part of the White House to put up what is now a $400 million ballroom. A guy with no friends needs a 90,000 square foot ballroom. Go figure, right? But it's like, yes, this didn't kill children in foreign countries, or it didn't turn our economy upside down, but it's the people's house that he's destroying, and that matters too.
You and I are brothers. I think this is like this is in the top 5. He did not have the authority to tear down the East Wing. I know I sound like I'm out in the wilderness. I keep screaming that, but it's true. He didn't have the authority to put his name on the Kennedy Center. He didn't have the authority to change the name of the Department of Defense. We like say, oh, it's stupid, crazy, blah. He didn't have the authority. He broke the law. He did it illegally. I got in an argument with a Trump supporter 2 days ago who said, Joe, you're right. It was probably unnecessary and stupid to rename the Kennedy Center. I said, Steve, that's not the fucking point. It was illegal. And Andy, this thing is concrete. It's right in front of us, this fucking ballroom. He doesn't have the authority to build it. I post this every fucking day on every social media platform. Whoever is running for president in 28
absolutely
has got to fucking pledge that thing's coming down.
And the wing goes back up exactly the way it was.
And Andy, I'm dead serious. If you don't do that, you don't have my support. I don't care where you are on any other issue. We don't have palaces in America. His ballroom will be a visual manifestation of his authoritarianism. It has to come down.
Yeah, I've said this before and I've written about this. It's not just about taking down the East Wing. It's what it symbolizes. He wants to turn that people's house into like Gaddafi's or Saddam Hussein's imperial palace, because he doesn't see it as the people's house. You know, everything with him is about branding. It's not our house, it's his house. It's not the Kennedy Center, it's his Kennedy Center. That's why he has to slap his shit name on everything. He is now even trying to brand affordability. The word affordability he associates with Democrats, which is why he's saying it's a hoax. So he's coming up with his own branding to describe how he's going to help the poor and the middle class. If that isn't some sick shit, I don't know what is.
Do you agree with me, like, that if any Democrat running for president in 28 has to pledge to tear down the ballroom and restore the East Wing?
Oh, I've said this and I've written about it, and I've gotten idiots to respond to me. I have made this pledge, and this is how I have to clarify it, because the people who heard me say it the first time were like, "You'd vote for a Republican over a Democrat?" I'm like, no. Slow the fuck down and listen to me. There's probably going to be about 15 Democrats running for president, okay? Of the nominees, the one who will get my vote is one who says, day one, that ballroom comes down and the East Wing will go back up.
Now, I agree with you. Do you and I think a Democrat running for president, will actually say that? And if this ballroom's going to be built 3.5 times the size of the White House, do you and I really believe that a newly elected Democratic president would tear that structure down?
I am focusing on what they need to say in the primary.
Yeah.
And if they say it in the primary, I would suspect they're going to need to do it. But politicians, as you know, they say things when they're running.
Andy,
you know,
spot on.
And if it comes down to a Democrat versus a Republican for the actual general election, and the Democrat did not promise that, I will still vote for him or her, because I'm not going to not vote for a Democrat. So I'm hopeful this gets squared away during the primary season, because it's something that to me, it's a no-brainer. Tell me how you turn off a Democrat. Now, I'm not going to vote for that guy because he said he's going to tear down Trump's ballroom and put the East Wing back. Which Democrat is not going to be happy with that promise, right? And independents will be happy with it, and there's probably going to be some reasonable Republicans that would be happy with it. So
I agree.
It's a no-lose proposition.
I agree. We'll put a lid on this one. I agree with everything you're saying. My fear is that a bunch of Democrats running will say it knowing they won't do it. That's my fear.
Well, that's politics for you. Next on my list, and this is fucking huge, the Oval Office attack of Zelensky.
Oh, God. You and I are like, we have the same list. Yeah.
Well, it starts with the hair, and then it seeps its way down into the brain.
Andy, I remember I was driving to Philadelphia that day when I heard that press conference they had in the Oval Office there. I just lost my shit. I was so pissed off about what he did to Zelensky. Him and JD.
Yeah. And Marjorie Taylor Greene's husband.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene's husband.
Yeah.
Wear a fucking suit. Why aren't you wearing a suit? But again, the big takeaway here is, we've known this for a while. He's on fucking Russia's side. He's on Putin's side. He's a Russian asset, informally or formally. Free world, wake up. Trump does not stand with you.
No. Next on my list is the draconian immigration policies, the ICE raids, the defying court orders related to Kilmar, Abrego, Garcia. Just the whole immigration fiasco. The man promised that he would go after the worst of the worst, and he's now dragging like moms out of schools and kids and U.S. citizens. Due process has been fired upon. It's this.
I think you and I talked about this. This issue of immigration, if there was any issue that helped get Trump elected, it was this, because my new political party just fucking dropped the ball on immigration. Mm-hmm. And now Trump, Andy, has taken that ball, and he's taken it to the deepest, darkest, ugliest place you can take it. And I think this issue is going to galvanize voters next year more than any other issue. This just shouldn't be who we are.
Well, it's already cost him the Hispanic vote. I mean, he won and lost the Hispanic vote in the fastest time in political history. Because, a lot of our Hispanic brothers and sisters in this country are looking at this and going, wait a second, I know a lot of people he's rounding up, and they're not what he said they were supposed to be. They're not hardened criminals. The amount of hardened criminals that are being arrested or deported is minuscule. It's like 98% of the people getting rounded up, detained, deported are good people. They're hardworking people coming out of construction sites, Home Depot, the hotel, the hospitality industry, etc. It's costing him. The Epstein files are a Democrat hoax. Way to delegitimize hundreds of women who have been traumatized by sexual abuse.
And I'll just speak to the politics of this, Andy. This again, everything you say, right? Just horrible and wrong. And think of the 1,200 victims. But politically, this one's hurting him because he promised his base, they all did, that this was going to be the mother of all deep state scandals. And he said, and J.D. Vance said, elect us and we'll release the files. And then he got elected and he said, nothing to see here. His base doesn't still understand it. He's hiding something, either him or, as he told Marjorie Taylor Greene, all of his friends are in there. But this one's hurting him politically.
Yeah, I equate it to a giant boulder rolling down a hill, and he is trying so desperately to get out of its way, and he can't. I think this year it's going to flatten him.
Andy, do you think there's something in there horrible about him, or do you think it's just there are other powerful people he's trying to protect?
That's the important question, and I'm going to flip it back to you and answer a question with a question. When does Donald Trump give a shit about helping anybody else? Right?
I love the way you framed that. So I'll say this, which may sound odd. Even if there were, like Trump's going to be hurt politically more by hiding the Epstein files than if there was certifiable proof in there he was a pedophile. His base would more likely stay with him if he were a pedophile than if he doesn't release the files, which just is horrible.
I don't know. I mean, I there's so many ways to analyze this, but to me, it's like we know Trump for how many decades now. This is a guy who, if I said to him, you could fulfill the biggest campaign promise you made, you won't get touched because you're an innocent man and you said you got nothing to hide. You can jerk yourself off with your fantasy of locking up and indicting Democrats, right? Which you're trying to do all over the place. Why wouldn't you do it? Right? Especially a guy who has no loyalty to anybody. So you're telling me Donald Trump, I'm Donald Trump. I will personally sacrifice all the good stuff that could come my way because I want to take care of other people.
Look, it's Andy Occam's razor. The most logical answer is likely the answer. There's something in there that will kill him politically. It's the same thing with Putin. The obvious answer is probably the likely answer. He works for Putin. He's on Putin's side. Quit trying to understand it. Putin's got something on him.
Yeah. Well, look, we already know from the drip of the Epstein files that have come out that there's a lot of, I'll call it incriminating shit in there about Donald Trump. So to me, where there's smoke, there's fire. And we're seeing a little bit of the smoke. I think the blaze is in there, and I think it's going to come out this year. This one made my fucking head explode. The Rob Reiner stuff. I mean, it's like, really, dude? In a 24-hour period, we saw Jews get slaughtered in Australia. We saw people get killed up at Brown University, and then we had Rob Reiner and his wife get murdered, and this is what you feel like you should be saying as the leader of the free world? I mean, Andy, my head exploded.
Your list is my list. That's on my top 10. And this is almost impossible to say. What he said in reaction to the brutal slaying of Rob and Michelle Reiner may be the most outrageous, ugliest, cruelest thing he's ever said. And that's really hard to say. He said Rob and Michelle were brutally slain by their adult son because Rob hated him too much. Rob hated Trump too much.
Right.
He made it all about him. And it was so startling that reaction to Trump's, that I think, Andy, it seeped through to like middle America who really doesn't pay attention.
Yeah, it broke through.
A number of them who said, like, Joe, that was a weird thing to say.
Yeah, it broke through. And in keeping with this particular theme here, he called Minnesota Governor Tim Walz seriously retarded. Those were his actual words. You know, so many people do the same thing they do over and over again. Yeah, that's Trump. That's just Trump. Stop for a second, people. The United States president called a sitting governor seriously retarded. Forget the fact that that's a word we just, you know, I feel weird saying it, but I think the emphasis on, I don't want people to hear the R word. It's bullshit.
So you and I could have a really good conversation about this, because I hate the way we try to outlaw words. But you're right. We don't say the word retarded anymore. It's no longer accepted. Fine, I get it. I'll always fight back against that. But I would never in the year 2025 call someone retarded. And he so freely can and does. That's objectionable.
And that broke through a little bit too, because there are, there are Republican Congress people who have children who are disabled or have relatives that are disabled. And they were like, wait a second, my son is autistic. What are you doing here?
A common theme here is, and you alluded to this at the top, the American people are fucking exhausted. This because of what he's done this year. He got elected. He lost the 2020 election because we had Trump in our faces every day. Joe Biden, God love him, campaigned from his basement. But Americans were so sick and tired of it and exhausted of having Trump in our faces and our grills every day with COVID, talking about all that shit, that he lost 2020. And then a big part of why he won again in 24 was we were 4 years removed from that day-to-day chaos and incompetence.
People forget.
And we forget. And the Democrats, the Democrats fucked up. They had their own issues. We forgot. But now, Andy, you're right. This is in our face now every day. Again.
Yeah. Look, it's important to remind people, because the compounding aspect of it all, it's not because any one of these things in an isolated manner would hurt somebody else, but they don't hurt Trump. But collectively, it's important for people to remember what this past year was like. He did something last week, which also my head exploded when I heard him say it, that Vladimir Putin wants to see Ukraine succeed. If that doesn't tell you which side the United States president is on in this war, that alone right there will tell you that A, he's on the side of Russia, B, he's a moron.
Yeah, but Andy, the reaction to what Trump said last week, that Putin wants Ukraine to succeed, I got pissed at the reaction. My good friend and former colleague Adam Kinzinger said, "What a stupid thing to say. How can you say something that stupid?" No. Yes, Trump's stupid, but he wasn't being stupid. He knew exactly what he was saying. Or other people, Andy, keep saying that Trump's getting played. Putin keeps playing Trump. No, he's not playing Trump. Trump works for Putin. Trump is negotiating for Putin. Trump's saying exactly what Putin wants him to say.
But does that mean, I'm going to push back on this a little bit, because I'm one of those people I think you're talking about. And I just literally said he's a moron.
He is.
Both things can be right. He could be doing it for the exact same reason you and I both say, because we believe he's a Russian asset. But he also is stupid. It's like, well, Putin told me his house was targeted, so that makes it true. Like, that makes him a moron. Like, you can be an asset, but also be a moron at the same time. And I'd like to sort of suggest that maybe he's an asset because he's a moron, right? Because he was lulled into this sense of friendship and loyalty. Like, but Vlad and I were both in this Russia thing together. When he says that, I want to pound my fist into a wall. Like he has a camaraderie with Putin that he thinks is real. And Putin has so brilliantly played him. I do think he's played him, but that doesn't mean he's not a Russian asset. That doesn't mean he knows what he's doing, even though we think what he's doing is moronic and dangerous. So it's a fine line.
Yeah, no, Trump is a very stupid person. Trump is probably the most easily manipulated person in human history. I grant you those. But I just think too many experts and too many Americans have a hard time embracing the scarier truth that he's on Putin's side and he is an asset. That's think about that, Andy. You're talking about the leader of the free world is Putin's right-hand man. That's really frightening to accept. And I think it's a lot easier for people just to say he's stupid. I went on CNN 3 months ago and I said Trump's a Russian asset, and the CNN hosts pushed back against me. Like, we can't say that. There's no proof of that. Come on.
Well, that's part of the problem. It's part of why he's here, because the media has completely abdicated its responsibility of saying he's a Russian asset, he's a liar, he's this, he's that, he's a sexual predator, whatever. They still normalize him because that's what they have to do. They got to fill all that airtime.
You're so right, Andy. We normalize them.
Yep. You touched on this before. I just want to touch on it briefly, the Kennedy Center thing. The thing that most people aren't talking about is that place is named after a dead president. Not only a dead president, but one who had his brains blown out, right? So think about the act of saying, that guy, not as important as Trump. I'm putting my name on top of that guy. And when you have a fucking Kennedy in your cabinet, I mean, if that didn't put the nail in the coffin with Bobby and his family, like, seriously, Bobby, you're working for a guy who just put his fucking name on our dead uncle, father, grandfather, like, insane. That insanity.
Yeah, I'm just a broken record. I agree with everything you said, but not you, Andy. But so many of us gloss over the fact that it was illegal for him to do it.
Yeah, right.
He didn't have the authority to make that name change. End of story.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about that enough.
Yeah. We can't have a list without this, the double tap murder and the other murders that are taking place in the Caribbean and the Pacific.
I don't know. That's a stupidly naive thing to say. That was on my list as well. Like, I know my whole former party sold their soul to him, but like, we've been living in a year without a Congress. We don't have a Congress. We've got two branches of government right now. I thought, Andy, though, the fact that he's bombing boats in international waters, I expected Republican senators to speak out and to really raise a stink, and they really haven't.
No, well, it's consistent with them not raising a stink on anything else.
Yeah.
This is probably the only one on the list that when he said it, there was a little part of me, especially being a former stand-up comedian, that made me chuckle a little. Because it is, when you get aside from the racist aspect and everything, it is a ridiculous. You had to, like, is this The Onion? Am I watching Saturday Night Live? But they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. Yeah. Remember that? Mm-hmm. I mean, you could be a racist, which he is. You could be kind of inflammatory, which he is. You could be dumb. You could be whatever, which he is, all of the above. But, like, they're eating cats. They're eating dogs. Isn't there anything else you could have come up with that would have just sounded a little bit more realistic, better? I mean, of all the racist things in the Ku Klux Klan has been existing for how long? They've never accused black people or people of color of eating cats and dogs. Like, it is just the stupidest thing. But like all of these things, connected to the much bigger macro issue, which is this vile racism, which he's repeating now again in Minnesota with the Somalis.
So I confess, my friend, when he said that in that debate against her, I fucking lost it. I laughed. They're eating the cats.
She laughed. I mean, yeah, she laughed too.
She laughed too. And I was with a group of Arizona independents who primarily voted for Biden, and they all laughed. And then I go home that night, Andy, and I go to bed and I'm scrolling my feed and I'm hearing from Trump voters and they all fucking loved that he said it. And I said, oh my God.
Yeah, they all repeated it. J.D. Vance repeated it.
Yeah. But you're right. It's all, look, I used to engage, the old Joe Walsh engaged in this. It's the fear of brown and black people. Nothing animates the Republican base more than that. And we're going to get a lot more of that this year.
Yeah. And last but not least, and speaking of that, was back in July when he literally called Barack Obama a traitor. I mean, again, if you think about like sitting U.S. president calls a former United States president a traitor, which is a crime punishable by what, Joe?
Punishable by death. And just to leapfrog that one, Andy, the other one that's on my list, analogous to that, is the 6 Democratic members of Congress who put out a video that simply told members of our military, follow the law, just follow the law. Trump called them traitors and literally said, punishable by death. Yeah. He called for the killing of 6 Democratic members of Congress.
Yeah. And I try to find the silver lining in all of this kind of stuff because they don't call me optimistic Andy for nothing. So when you take that, right, the calling for the death of 6 sitting congresspeople, calling the former United States president a traitor, sending troops to the streets of his own country, murdering people in the Caribbean. You just take all of these things collectively and then you say, okay, what does this guy want more than anything in the world? A Nobel Peace Prize. Right? He could literally bring peace on earth, right? He could literally be like, I've just achieved peace on earth. And the Nobel Committee is going to be like, yeah, but calling Obama a traitor, the fucking 6 Democrats, like the murder and the shipwrecked survivors, boom, boom, boom. Like we can't give this guy a Nobel Peace Prize. So when you said unforced errors earlier about the tariffs, it's the same thing. It's like, if he just shut the fuck up, stopped doing weird shit, made his wild claims about, I ended 8 wars and whatever, and the Gaza-Israeli ceasefire, like maybe he'd get a Nobel. But you're not going to get a Nobel Peace Prize calling for the execution of your own congresspeople.
And we're asking for the impossible. We're asking Trump not to be Trump, right?
Well, that's it. He's not. Yeah. He's not going to change. Anything else on your list?
Andy, you nailed damn near everything that was on my list. I'll just add a few more. Turning the Justice Department into his own private law firm, turning the Attorney General into his own personal lawyer. I so worry that, I worry about this, Andy, like there are so many young Americans who were not old enough to vote for Obama. They only know the age of Trump. And so many now are losing touch of what the Justice Department is supposed to be, independent. And Trump's just fucking blown a wall through that. I wrote this one too, Andy. The night of the Charlie Kirk assassination, the president of the country goes on national television, and instead of using a horrible act of political violence like that to try to, come on, lower the temp, bring us all together, he fucking goes off and divides us and said the left killed him, Democrats killed him. Utterly despicable.
So true.
Because I think it's so endemic of so much. A couple months ago, when he called that female reporter Piggy,
that was one that made the cut. That didn't make the cut, or did make the cut. I'm sorry, I got a sinus infection. I can't even think straight. Didn't make the cut.
He's got a history of doing this with women.
Yeah,
but Piggy. You call a female reporter Piggy.
You know what?
When I need that seep through a little bit. Go ahead.
Well, I tweeted about this when it happened. When I hear him do that kind of thing, quiet piggy, with the look on his face. Now imagine he's alone in a room with a woman and she goes, no, Donald. Is that the kind of guy that goes, hey, no means no, I get it? Or is he the kind of guy that gets accused by 20 plus women of sexual assault and gets, adjudicated in a court of law of sexual abuse? Like,
that's the kind of guy who grabs women who he doesn't know, who grabs their vaginas. That's who that is.
Yep. No respect for women. Hates that they actually have a say in some agency in their own lives and bodies.
And the last one I wrote is it's him, RFK Jr. This guy put a fucking quack, a horrible guy. RFK Jr. is a madman, in charge of our country's public health.
Yeah. 2,000 cases of measles last year, 2025. 2,000. Last time we had 2,000 cases of measles was 1992. Thank you, Bobby. And why is the flu raging out of control this year? Okay, there's a different strain, whatever. But vaccinations are way down. Yeah. Why are vaccinations way down? Thank you, Bobby. So this dovetails into the last thing I want to ask you about, which is not a top 10, 15 thing. It's just, what do you think about his health? I think this could be a really interesting year for him, health-wise, if you know what I mean.
I think there's something going on with his health. Obviously, he's not transparent or honest about it. Mm-hmm. I think something could happen. I think he has a weirdly strong constitution, though. You talk about a man who's abused his body for years. And unlike you and I and any normal human being, Andy, the man does not know what shame is. And so the man has never had to live with shame. And in a weird way, he's like the only president in my lifetime who doesn't seem to age in the Oval Office because he never thinks he does anything wrong. He's got no shame. The office doesn't wear on him. I think he's fucked up physically. I think he's losing it mentally. But he could hang on for 3 years.
I'm going to push back a little on that. I don't think we would know if the office wears on him because there's so much shit that he does to his face and his head and his hair. We don't know. Like Obama, he started off looking young. Gray. By the end of the 8 years, his hair was gray. Whatever. Like, that's what you're talking about. There's more wrinkles. Try to imagine what Donald Trump looks like coming out of the shower. Okay? Because that's the real Donald Trump. And it probably looks fucking nothing like the Trump we see. There's no orange shit on his face. There's no dead raccoon thing happening on his head. Like, I don't know what he looks like. I think that office has truly aged him, and he hasn't sounded well in the last few weeks. Well, he sounds more like Joe Biden sounded. He's very breathy. He sounds weak. He doesn't have that thing that he used to have. He doesn't project strength anymore.
I think there's something going on with him physically. I don't think it's the office aging him. I think there's something going on with him physically. Andy, I just imagine going through life, never worrying about, or you said he's a sociopath. He's a psychopath. He's both. He doesn't care about anybody else or anything else. He has no cares or worries in the world. All he does is think about himself. And he never thinks he does wrong. He doesn't know what shame is. Like he never, like if you fuck up or you make a mistake or you have to make a weighty decision and 100 Americans might die, Trump doesn't think in those terms because he doesn't care about anybody.
So you're saying he doesn't have stress?
I don't think, thank you. That's what I'm trying to get to. I think he lives a stress-free life.
I think you're right. I've said that before. Most of us have stress, and stress is often what kills us. You know, it brings on strokes, it brings on heart attacks. He doesn't have that. He doesn't internalize anything. He just blurts out whatever fucking thing his id dictates him to blurt out. And that's actually kind of healthy in a way.
You just said in 30 seconds what I was trying to fucking say in 5 minutes. He's a man who lives without stress.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's his superpower.
It is his superpower, but in closing, what I will say is that we know he's a pathological liar.
Yeah.
So when Donald Trump and his doctors and all that come out and go, it's from handshaking. That's what it's benign. That means this fucker probably has 3 months to live. You think we're getting the actual truth about his physical condition? And I'm obviously exaggerating about 3 months, but there's something, like you said, there's something going on there with his health that they are covering up. And, shocker, this is not a president or an administration that is immune to cover-ups, if you know what I mean.
We would not know he's dead, he's sick until after he died.
Yeah.
We would never know the truth.
Well, that's right. Well, he had COVID, right? We didn't know how bad it was until how much later?
Yeah.
Right? U.S. president was rushed to the hospital, Walter Reed, right? He was near death. We didn't know that at the time, though.
He's fallen asleep left and right in the middle of meetings.
He fell asleep during the Kennedy Center honors.
Yeah.
Frank Stallone is giving this heartfelt, I'm no fan of Sly.
Yeah.
I'm no fan of modern Sly. I love Rocky Sly.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that will always love Rocky Sly.
Yeah.
And I'm no fan of Frank Stallone. But Frank Stallone's giving this heartfelt tribute to his brother, and Trump is sitting there like, he's literally asleep. I posted a photo of it. It was the funniest fucking thing.
Hey, by the way, the funniest, I'll close with this, Andy. It made my top 20, the list. That one picture of him a few months ago where they're in a White House Oval Office meeting and some guy falls down and passes out next to him. And he stands up at his desk and he's all fucking pissed off that there's a guy who passed out next to him.
Oh my God. We literally could make 1,000 of these. The list could have been the top 1,000. Joe, always fun, always insightful. Until next time.
Thanks, Andy.
All righty. Take care. This episode was produced and edited by me, Andy Ostroy. It was co-produced by Maddie Rosenberg and Jen Hammoud for Radio Free Rhinecliff, with additional editing by Maddie Rosenberg, music by Andrew Hollander, and graphic design by Cricket Langell. And with a special thanks to our sponsor, The Epicurean. Again, thanks for listening. Please rate and review wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to the Backroom with Andy Ostroy YouTube channel, where you can watch full videos of our interviews. See you next time.